Oh, hey, good morning, neighbors. We have a special request today. Mr. Norseman, can you talk about finding peace due to conflict with coworkers? I'd be happy to, friend, so grab a coffee while it's still affordable and let's get into it. It doesn't matter if it's a factory, restaurant, or office. There's a wide range of passive-aggressive behavior before it has to go to HR or the law. What wisdom from the ancestors or the Norse saga could possibly help us traverse this desert? We'll be going over 3 pieces of wisdom today, so take notes for you to reflect on. Firstly, something from Grettir's saga that reminds us in these scenarios we should keep our composure. No one is a total fool if they know when to hold their tongue. So think about what you say before you say it, and don't fly off the handle. I've seen it happen many times. By speaking out of frustration, anger, or anxiety, we can often escalate the situation, often making it much worse. You're a team and in a way a community. You rely on each other and your productivity in order to get a paycheck and make ends meet. No one wins if you can't mind your tongue. And in the heat of the moment, we often don't think about the third or fourth parties that are affected due to the outcome. In Volsunga's saga, we're reminded that it's better to resolve disputes with words rather than weapons. Just a little reminder that diplomacy and dialogue are more valuable than violence or payback. And many don't realize that the majority of the ancestors were farmers. Farmers that relied on one another to make it through the winter at the end of the year. And they had to work together as a community, resolve their differences with diplomacy, and use their words. Due to media, many young men often fall into the cartoonish trap of thinking they have to act a certain way because they perceive every single ancestor was a warrior and threw hands at the drop of a hat. Like Carl eating your sandwich in your lunchbox. They wouldn't have drop-kicked Donna for showing up late. And well, Frank is just slow. And before you regret jumping off the top rope from the top of your toolbox, it might have been more beneficial to realize you just don't know Frank, and he has a blood sugar issue he is dealing with. In a workplace, you've kind of agreed to a form of social contract. You do your thing, I'll do my thing, I'll get the resources I need for what my family requires. Or, and just Donna and her cats, because she's a senior coming out of retirement and have to make ends meet. Because I'd like you to take special consideration to what I'm about to say from Njál's saga. Never break the peace between you and good people that they make between you and others. If they're not a good nor true person, maybe it is an HR problem. If peace can be had, seek it through diplomacy and a mindful tongue. If not, HR or your shift leader or whatever. This is all under the assumption that you're wishing to keep this job and you're not already looking for others, mind you. And I'd like to close on that, because if I could not find peace or diplomacy and no one was doing anything about it, I was looking for another job. Because there's always going to be a scenario like in mine where the problem child is the boss's son-in-law or the owner's son. Even though I could have taken him pillar to post across the shop floor, nobody needs a lawsuit, an injury, a stain on their work history. And if I wasn't mindful of everything I talked about earlier, I wouldn't have been able to get the resources I needed for my family. It's an odd position within a community to be in, I understand. But what community in the world doesn't have odd eccentricities? So remember, neighbors, seek peace through diplomacy. Be mindful of your words and intentional with them. And at the end of the day, the ancestors considered breaking the peace morally wrong. They were pretty big about maintaining peace, law, and community without oversight of a police force, after all. And a workplace is kind of no different. The best advice I have comes from my time in service. I am there to do a job, not really make friends, but still get by. And I'm me when I'm off the clock or on break. And sometimes you just gotta tell the owner or the manager that their son-in-law is abusing the power that they're giving them. So remember diplomacy and peace within your workplace communities. And remember that the ancestors would often move when they didn't like things. But what do I know? Those are just my thoughts. Just something to think about. And I'll talk to you next time, neighbors. Acha-cha-cha-cha.